these randoms keep getting jobs. Don't worry about it. I'm going to say, I can't wait to say it. I love it. I love it. Go. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the NotBland Show, and I'm your host, Dujane Bland, and I'm glad to be back. Hope you guys had a great holiday, spending time with your family and time off. You know, everybody needs a little bit of it. We work hard out here in these streets. Today, we have a great show. We're going to start off talking some pro wrestling. We're going to have Champ come in return and talk about the weekend that was with Survivor Series and some of these big, nice storylines that we're seeing build through both AEW and WWE. I will have on my buddy, Mike Butler, in the second segment, talking a little NFL. We're going to focus on some of the big matchups coming up this weekend, and I will close the show talking Commanders, if there's really anything to talk about. Well, let's get it started. He is the host of the No Spots podcast. My man, Champ. What's going on, brother?
You see it? I had to put on the shirt, right? I had to put on the shirt because who would have thunk it? Who would have effing thunk it,
dude?
That after almost 10 years, the best in the world walks back into the WWE. Look into my eyes. What do you see? CM Punk in WWE. Wow.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy. I knew something was up when they took a long time at the end. I knew something was up. I didn't exactly know what it was going to be. And then there he is. He pops out and the crowd, I mean, it was explosive. I mean, the crowd just exploded. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah,
looks like we
absolutely.
And I just don't. My first thing is will things be different this time for CM Punk?
I think so, because one of the things that was mentioned is that, time, they grew up. Triple H was in a different place 10 years ago when he was still an active competitor. CM Punk was in a different place. He was frustrated with how the company was dealing with his injuries and things like that. They were both in different mindsets. 10 years, you grow up a lot. CM Punk has grown up quite a bit. Yeah, he had his bad dealings in AEW, of course, but he was around a younger roster. Like, that whole roster is probably, the average age of that roster's got to be around 26, 27. Right. And now he's in a locker room with much more mature and much more well-known veterans that have been in this industry for a long time. And he doesn't have to sit there and tell them, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. He could just do what he has to do for him and to be successful returning to WWE. He doesn't have to sit there and mentor anybody. There might be some youngins in that locker room he can mentor, but for the most part, he's there to do his thing. And like you said, it's promo. He's not there to make friends. He's there to make money. And I think that he's going to be a big draw for WWE moving forward.
This is my thing here. There are young guys in the locker room. He may not have to mentor them, but he's going to have to try to get along with them. And he didn't do such a good job of that in AEW. I think he's still the same guy that was in AEW coming in here. Spare me the pomp and circumstance in that promo, because it sounded like an AEW promo that we heard when he first came back into wrestling. We all know that he's here for the money. That's clear. But one thing's for certain, to sit up here and say that everybody's okay with him being back in that locker room is absolute horse manure. It was very clear. I know people think that it's a workup with Seth Rollins, But he's been talking stuff about Seth for a long time now, and Seth wasn't happy.
And Seth said some things about him, and Seth said some things about him too.
Agreed.
So yeah,
Agreed.
It's been back. It's been even.
So I'm just saying, whatever this is, he's got one shot. There's no way that he comes in here and can pull the same stuff that he pulled before, because at the end of the day, he's out of here. WWE won't play that, because at the end of the day, they're not fans of him like Tony Khan. Okay, so they're about business and business only. So I do think this can be good. Who do you see him feuding with first?
Seth.
Yeah, that would
apparently.
Be perfect.
Yeah, Seth looks like it's going to be the sure shot of his first program, especially given that WWE can't ignore the fact that video went viral of Seth Rollins looking like he was cussing CM Punk out while CM Punk was at the entranceway and stuff like that. They can't ignore it, and then Seth Rollins has verbally addressed it, calling him a hypocrite and things of that nature in promos, not only at the live event the next night, but then on Monday Night Raw. So that's going to be his first program. It's going to be most likely with Seth Rollins, though apparently a report came out that there's likely his first two programs are going to be either with Seth Rollins and then Roman Reigns. Now, I don't know how they're going to insert him into the Tribal Chiefs universe. That's going to be one I'm interested to see what they're going to do with that. But right now, I think the main focus is going to be CM Punk versus Seth Rollins, and I think that's going to be a real good matchup for them. And I think promo wise, it's going to be a very interesting promo battle as well.
Yeah, and Mark Moore says he thinks that he will win the world title from Seth Rollins. That's his opinion. I think that's a good possibility. But I do think with a lot of the realness that's with this thing, it's going to have a huge pop, in my opinion, with the way this whole thing is playing out. Both of them have a little bit of beef, and it's going to get settled in the ring. And I like
Absolutely. I think it's a strong opinion and a strong possibility that Punk is the one that dethrones Seth Rollins for that championship. Otherwise, I don't know any other reason why you would have them in a feud unless Seth somehow loses the championship to like Drew McIntyre, and then you put them two in a program, Seth and CM Punk, for no championship on the line. Honestly, I think that would be a much more agreeable option, because I think a lot of fans would take umbrage in the fact of CM Punk just returning and becoming a world champion. So I think that would be the much more favorable thing, is if Seth drops the championship to, say, Drew McIntyre somewhere down the line, like at Royal Rumble, and then they have a program going into WrestleMania, Seth and CM Punk.
Yeah, I think it looks like the whole thing with Drew McIntyre is this. He should be pushed or, set up a little bit better, and they seem to kind of dumb Drew down to what his size and his ability is. And I just don't see him taking that title off of him with the way it's kind of all played out. And it looked, the whole thing looked good on Monday night, but it just seems like they don't give Drew McIntyre, let him loose. You know what I mean? He's still he seems to be reined back a lot.
Well, part of that, Dujane, would be the fact that as far as I've read online, Drew McIntyre is not re-signing a new deal with WWE. His deal is scheduled to end around WrestleMania next year, WrestleMania 40. And so I don't know if they're going to be willing to put the championship on Drew, knowing that he is yet to re-sign with the company, or if he's committed to re-signing with the company long term. So that's another thing to sort of think about, is that there's a possibility that unless he re-signs a new deal between now and whenever he gets his opportunity at the World Heavyweight Championship, whether they'll pull the trigger and put the title on him or not. So that's one thing to keep an eye on, because that's going to be a huge, huge thing moving forward, especially when it comes to the Seth and CM Punk program progressing.
Definitely. So Rhea Ripley retains against Zoe Stark. I thought Zoe did an excellent job. I think she's a really good wrestler and will have great things happen down the road. How long does this title reign last for Mommy?
I don't know, man. I mean, they really tried to make it so that to make it seem like Zoe was a competent contender for that championship, but they really didn't do a good job of building her up to be that, and that's where I take issue with this matchup. It was predictable as all get out. Like there was no way that Rhea was losing to Zoe, and no matter how many times they made it seem like in the matchup that Zoe had a chance, she had no chance. I think that Rhea's reign is going to last until WrestleMania. I think she's going to go almost a full year as women's world champion, and then I believe, hopefully, maybe Jade Cargill, they'll finally get her ready, and then Jade Cargill will be the one that'll take it from her at WrestleMania. They're really taking their time with Jade Cargill. And you know what? I respect them for that, because Jade has only been in the business for 2 years. Yes, she had a 2-year undefeated streak in AEW, but they want to make sure that she is absolutely positively ready for the sports entertainment side of wrestling and this bigger stage, which is WWE. So they're taking their time with her, which I appreciate. And I think that she'll be the one that ends Mommy's reign at WrestleMania. Because I think she'll be ready by then.
I do too. Now, do you think they knew this coming into it? They paid her all this money to bring her in. Do you think they knew how raw she really was? And I mean raw in the sense that, you know, I hate people trying to compare AEW to WWE. That's wrestling. This is sports entertainment. It's two different things. So obviously there were some things that she was going to have to learn from that side. But do you think they realized that it was going to be that much work that they would have to put into her before debuting her?
I think they knew. They would not have put the commitment that they did in her in terms of signing her to a long-term deal and paying her what they're paying her to, like, not understand the type of work they had to go into to build her up to be a proper sports entertainer as opposed to a professional wrestler. So I think they knew, and they were ready for the challenge. And like I said, I respect the fact that they're taking their time and they are, slow. They're making sure that she's completely and utterly ready for this spotlight before they put her on TV. Many a times we've seen WWE take wrestlers who were nowhere near ready, thrust them out there into the world, and then watch us ridicule them because of how awful they were or how they didn't fit the mold. So I like that they're bringing her along slowly because of the fact that they know that she's only been in this business 2 years, and she needs to learn the sports entertainment way and not the professional wrestling way.
I agree. And I think she'll get that. I think she's a great athlete. Just like my man Mike Patton says, I'm rooting for her too. I really enjoy what she did in AEW. But I'm really looking forward to seeing how this all plays out on a more spectacle of a stage that the WWE is. And then having to go up against, Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch. There's some big matches to be had with this women's division. Rhea Ripley, it's going to be some big matches to be had. I'm looking forward to seeing what that entails and what goes down the road with that. Mm-hmm. Now, going over to AEW, who is behind the mask?
Adam Cole.
See, we had this conversation as well. Me and my good friend, my little brother, Dave Lee, we had the same comment about that. It has to be Adam Cole. Now, I did throw some other people out there that it could be Andrade. He's a mask wearer. I don't know how he would fit in all of that, but it could be. I mean, there's a ton of people after MJF right now. I definitely don't think it's Joe. I don't think it's Joe, even though that kind of, he's kind of playing his protector type thing. But, we all know he's a guy that gets after it and is a beast in the ring. Could be behind that. But just something tells me that, yes, Adam was injured, But I think the injury is good now. And I think they're playing this as a story. Just something tells me that he's behind this mask.
I mean, everything points. I mean, okay, so I won't say everything points to Adam Cole because casual wrestling fans may not see it. They may see it as like Cole is just, MJF's supportive friend, and it could never be him. But just because of the fact that he is his supportive friend makes it the perfect, the perfect storyline of Adam Cole turning heel, joining up with the Kingdom and with homeboy Roderick Strong, and
Yeah.
in a crusade against MJF. I mean, everything sits perfectly. And I mean, nothing against Adam Cole. Adam Cole is AEW's version of The Miz. He is much better as a
Yes,
heel than he is as a babyface.
I agree.
Nothing against Cole. I mean, Cole is a slightly better babyface than The Miz can be, but he's a much better heel than he is a babyface, and he's AEW's version of The Miz. So it makes perfect sense that he most likely is the one behind the Devil's Mask. He'll be the one that'll reveal himself to MJF, and they'll have another great encounter. And I think that we'll finally have once again have a heel champion. I think Adam Cole will finally win this world championship and really reign supreme as a heel version of himself.
Yeah, I think so too. Because at some point he's gotta get the championship at some point. Everybody else that's been kind of a front runner in AEW has had it, other than Swerve Strickland, but Swerve can't jump the line. I think there's a TNT championship. There's something else that he's going to hold before he gets to that point. But I do believe that it's Adam Cole's time, and it would be perfect because everybody thinks that it's going to be MJF that makes that turn. It will be a complete and utter surprise. I'll be heartbroken because I love those two together, but I think that's the play right there, is to have him be the one to be the guy that dethrones him and kind of turn on MJF.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how good is this story between Adam Copeland and Christian Cage?
Oh my goodness. It is such a great storyline. And what we're getting, see, a lot of these AEW fans who probably never watched WWE, this is their first time being introduced to psychopathic Edge. Whereas a lot of us who watched Edge in WWE have seen the psychopath side of Edge before. And we know what this is all about. Only difference is he doesn't have the long blonde hair. He has short hair, so he can't be pulling at it before he spears the living crap out of somebody. But it's still there. And I think this is perfect because you have Adam Copeland as a psychopath now, and you have Christian with this delusion of grandeur of, oh, I'm their father and they're my sons and da da da. Everything about this is absolutely working out perfectly. I think what I want to see, though, I don't want to see Adam Copeland become TNT champion in Montreal.
No.
I don't want to see that. I want to see Christian continue to reign. And you know what I want to see? I want to see Luchasaurus finally rebel against Christian, turn on Christian, and win the TNT championship and be able to hold on to it for himself and not have Christian holding on to it. That's what I want to see.
I do too. I thought it was going to happen the other night, but he's doing the kill switch thing. But yeah, I'm hoping that happens too. Mike Patton said, "What if Jeff Jarrett comes back?"
He's already
Jeff
back.
Jarrett can play. Well, what if he comes back and tries to play into that whole MJF thing?
That would be. I don't know. I just don't see where it fits because he's had no interactions with MJF since coming back to AEW. He's been away from the MJF situation ever since he came back. Ever since he came to AEW. So I just don't see how that will work.
But the faction, they end up doing whatever they want. So they just come in and insert themselves wherever. So it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility because they're just so random with who they just think they can go around pushing people around, and they do at times. And Jeff Jarrett can do whatever he wants, right?
Yeah, but I mean, here's the thing. I think I would be highly disappointed if the person behind the Devil's Mask be Jeff Jarrett. I think it's much more it's much more impactful if it was Adam Cole and not freaking Jeff Jarrett. I mean, Jeff Jarrett, at the age that he's at and what he's done in his career, he has no business being in the world title picture at all.
Yeah.
None.
Yeah.
And
He's
I
just a
think
guy
that
having fun out there. He wrestles well.
yeah.
Though.
Yeah, I mean, he still wrestles well being in his mid to upper 50s and things like that. But I think that he's at the point of his career, he doesn't need to be in a world title picture. He doesn't.
Yeah.
And neither does Jay Lethal. Yeah, neither does Jay Lethal, even though Jay Lethal's been a successful wrestler. Satnam Singh is still greener than goose shit, so he don't need to be in a world title picture either. I just think that it just doesn't fit, even though they do things at random. I just think that it would just be a poor booking decision have it be Jeff Jarrett be the man behind the mask. It has to be Adam Cole.
Yeah, I can see that. I really do think it is Adam. Now to talk about the women's division here, we're starting to see some talent really start to show themselves. Toni Storm and this whole new character she's got is just absolutely amazing, and she's pulling it off. She's pulling it off and pulling it off well. You look at some of the up and comers, Sky Blue, Julia Hart with that win, which I was surprised, but not surprised in the fact that she shouldn't win it. You know what I mean?
Sip was the only one of us. Sip was the only one of us who picked her to win that out of that triple threat match. So Sip saw something more than we did.
Yeah. Sometimes he does. He's got that intuition, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And what more can we see out of this division, though? I feel like they need to be spotlighted a little bit more. And maybe sometimes with some of these shows, we can have more of a woman-dominated card than just having one or two matches.
Well, before I get into that, I have to tell a quick story. Mariah May, who's been involved in the whole Timeless Toni Storm situation, I know her personally. Back during the pandemic when independent wrestling in the UK was completely shut down, she did a lot of streaming on Twitch, and I became a close part of her community. I've actually played Among Us with her on several occasions. She hated playing with me because I was a good liar. But I really got to know her. She actually was part of the Speaking Out movement. She spoke out about something that happened to her during that Speaking Out movement in 2020, and she used that she was able to get that out there. And then when independent wrestling started back up in the UK, she really took advantage of it. She was in Rev Pro, she was in some of the indies, and then she ended up in Stardom earlier this year and really just killed it in Stardom. She won Tag Gold in Stardom. She was part of their version of the G1. And she just really did her thing. And now that she's in AEW, I literally almost shedded tears of joy just watching how much she's grown over the last 3 years from what she was doing before, Twitch streaming because there was no wrestling, to now being on the second biggest wrestling promotion in the Western Hemisphere, and being a part of the biggest women's promotion in all of the world in Stardom. I mean, it's amazing. But this women's division, and I've said this on my podcast plenty of times, that Tony Khan and crew, they have to put more than one women's match on their weekly television program. They have to. They have to make room for at least one extra women's match on there to really showcase that women's division. When they had AEW Dark and Dark Elevation, they would have 3, 4, 5 women's matches on there because it was 2 hours of commercial-free wrestling that they filmed. So they would have multiple women's matches on Dark and Dark Elevation, yet they can only put one women's match on a Dynamite, or one women's match on Rampage, or one women's match on Collision. That's 5 hours of wrestling, and you can only fit
Exactly.
3 women's matches in a combined 5 hours? No, I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. I think that moving forward, they need to put at least one. I mean, right now you have 2 women's champions, yet you only feature maybe one of them. You may have a segment with one and a match with the other. I want to see both women's champions wrestle on the same show at the same time. They did it at Full Gear. Gear. Both women's champions wrestled on the show. Both championships changed hands, which really gave a boost to the women's division because Toni Storm has been brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And then Julia Hart's been amazing. Outside of the loss she suffered at Wrestle Dream to Statlander for the TBS Championship, she had been rolling. And I think the only reason why she lost then was because she was taking time off because she was getting married to a fellow AEW star in Big Shotty Lee Johnson. Right. That's the only reason why they probably didn't pull the trigger then, because she was taking a couple weeks off to get married and go on her honeymoon. But they pulled the trigger now, and she's currently the youngest AEW champion ever in AEW's history. She's 22, DJ. She is 22. She is 19 years my junior. I wasn't winning championships at 22. I was trying to figure out my life at 22. She's a champion at 22.
Insane. She's done an excellent job. And the character is she's really got it down. And it really comes across the screen really well.
Yeah, she's ever since she joined the House of Black, she's seen a metamorphosis, and it's been a positive metamorphosis. The whole cheerleader gimmick she did with the Varsity Blondes was cool, a good way to establish, let people know who she was. But then when she made the turn after she got sprayed with mist and she turned into what she is now, she's just grown leaps and bounds since then, and it just continues to be a great sight to see. Indeed. And Lee Johnson's a lucky MFer. I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, he is. And shout out to my barber, Brenton Bright. If you live in the Valdosta area, you should be getting cut by him. He keeps me looking good. Appreciate you, brother. Julia Hart joining the House of Black was a game changer.
My boy.
What's up, Sith? Yep, it was a game changer, and she has blown the doors open on that one. Champ, tell them where they can find you and your partner Sith at, and where they can kind of get involved and talk more wrestling with you guys.
Absolutely. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/NoSpotsPod. We're on Twitter, twitter.com/True No Spots Pod. We stream on Twitch. We stream the podcast for both New Japan as well as all other wrestling, as well as our live reactions to pay-per-views at twitch.tv/True No Spots Pod. And we do have TikTok, tiktok.com/@True No Spots Pod. I need to get on posting more there and stuff like that, but we are on there. And don't forget, we stream our podcast normally on Sundays after football is done. At least the daytime football is done at 7 p.m. unless there's a Saturday pay-per-view, which one we stream either on Fridays or Saturdays. Make sure you come check us out. We are really we're really in the midst of it when it comes to wrestling. There's one more premium live event for WWE, which is NXT Deadline coming up, and then there's no more pay-per-views until the new year, and then we're going to be taking a break for the holiday, but we're going to be we're out here, so make sure you come check us out.
When is World's End? Is it at the end of December?
December 30th.
Okay,
December 30th.
Yep. All right, that'll work. And,
December 30th is World's End, and then also make sure you check us out as well as for our coverage of New Japan's World Tag League. We actually have a podcast coming up on Thursday to catch everybody up on what's been happening in that tournament, as well with myself and Sage, who's our New Japan analyst and contributor. Awesome. So that should be fun. It's been great to follow this tournament, World Tag League, and we're going to be talking about that as well.
That'll work, man. Thank you so much. And this won't be the last time, you know that. And everybody catch my guy Champ on the True No Spots podcast. See
Absolutely.
You later, bro.
Great having me. Thank you for having me.
Yep. No problem. Anytime. That is Champ. Loved everybody's commenting and getting involved in that segment. I enjoyed that. Thank you guys. It is one of those things that I really enjoy watching. And, it's predetermined, but it's so much fun. So now we're going to get into our NFL segment, and I'm going to bring in my guy, Mike Butler, who is one part of the host of the Off the Clock Sports Talk podcast. And, man, the NFL is getting busy, and these matchups, man, are hot right now.
Yeah, they are. This week is going to be a nice week to watch some football, some good football.
Indeed.
Even though it's some good, I need some. A lot of my starting lineup for fantasy is they're on buys this week. I'm like, goodness, I'm gonna hurt this week.
Yeah, I seen a couple of guys in my dynasty league. I was checking their rosters, and I'm like, man, all of their good players are on. Like half of their roster is on bye week right now. It's like, man,
exactly.
I'm glad mine's were kind of spaced out a little bit.
I literally have 5 starters on bye this week.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So for all the Dallas Cowboy fans, I got family that watch this show as well. We're going to talk Cowboys right now. So with the Cowboys, they're doing what teams like the Commanders and other teams with talent should be doing, and they're just beating the teams in front of them. I it doesn't matter what their record is. They're doing it, and they're beating these guys handedly and moving on. The thing that I really like and what I'm seeing right now is when I look at the tape and I look at the play selection and how Mike McCarthy, lines up his play after play. There was a lot of things in that Commanders game, and you can even go back to their previous game where they were just setting the Commanders defense up. There was a lot of motion. There was a lot of drag routes coming across, and you've seen those before, but they were in different formations, wasn't necessarily going there. And then once he saw that, he was taking advantage of those things by now utilizing the wide receiver and hitting them. They set them up with the cross. They bit on it, and that ended up being a deep ball down the field. I really got to give Mike McCarthy credit. He is doing an excellent job of not just having a good, script drive, but he's putting together drive after drive after drive.
No, yeah. The one thing about Dallas this season, and I have to give them credit, they're keeping it simple.
Mm-hmm.
They realize that they have the talent, they have the skills on the field and the weapons. So they're actually utilizing all their weapons at the same time instead of going to the same person all day.
Exactly.
And not using that other person. They're spreading the wealth on that team. And they're quiet. It's weird because they're kind of quiet about it this season.
It is.
Because, past seasons, of course, you had other seasons where they out there just lighting it up. But they're lighting it up with like 1 or 2 people. That's it. Running back, 1 wide receiver. That's
right.
It. This season, you got like 2, 3 wide receivers that they lighten it up with. The quarterback, Dak, he's playing with composure back there. And you have a good running game. It's hard for defenses, even good defenses, to prepare and work on that when you can't lock down 4 or 5 players at once.
Exactly. And coupled with that defense, especially the front that they have, and everybody is all surprised about DaRon Bland. I'm gonna tell you right now, the guy was on my radar in college. Watched him in college. I felt like he was a pick that the Commanders could have taken as well. And he's just he's just having an opportunity to showcase his talent. And because I thought that they were going to lose something tremendous when they lost Diggs back there. And I understand Diggs is a gambler a lot of times because he's looking to take the ball away. That's why you see, people say he gets beat a lot, but he's aggressive. And sometimes that aggressiveness, sometimes you're going to get beat. But more oftentimes than not, he was coming away with the football. But they don't really need to have a great back half when your front 7 is in people's backfield repeatedly. Like these quarterbacks are under pressure and under duress when they're trying to make these throws, and really slowing down guys' running game as well and forcing people to kind of be one-dimensional here. Yeah,
when you're able to get back there and put pressure on the quarterback, hit them, you let them know you're back there, you're getting back there. It's going to always be in the back of a quarterback's mind every single play, no matter what. I don't care who you are. You could do your best to try to ignore it, but you're not going to ignore a 350-pound, 6'7" dude coming bearing down on you either. So
exactly.
You got that in your back of your head, and you're probably trying to get rid of it on your first or second, probably at your second read. You're probably not even going down to your third or fourth read as a quarterback.
Right.
So, when you know you got that type of pressure, plus Dallas is not even giving you time to get down to your third read, anyways. So, yeah, Dallas is knocking people around. They're playing big boy football this season right now. So,
and I will say this though, this is a stat, and the stat doesn't lie, but I'm going to say that they've only played 2 teams over 500, and they're 0-2 in those games. They're getting outscored 35, 16 and a half points per game in those 2 matchups. They allowed 35 points, but in those games where these are teams under 500, they're 8-1. They're scoring 34.9 points per game, and they're only allowing 12.8 points per game. I know it seems like that you can quickly say, well, they haven't really beat anybody, and the teams that were good, they lost against. But I will say that those teams they lost against was early in the season. I really feel like Dallas is on a roll. And I will say this, I do want to see them beat a Eagles, a 49ers type team, because that's going to be the telltale sign, because you're going to have to face these guys in the playoffs.
Yeah.
One way or the other. That's going to be the telltale sign. But you can't knock them for having a schedule where most of the NFC East outside of them and the Eagles are garbage. And there's a lot of teams in the NFC that are bottom feeders. They just so happen to be on their schedule. And like I said, they are blowing those teams out, unlike some teams like Buffalo Bills being in dogfights with teams that they have no business. So if they can get it together on that front end, they have a good shot to push more than just 1 or 2 rounds in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Kind of circling back to them, playing the game against the Eagles and 49ers. Whew. I don't know if they would win that in the regular season right now. Those 2 teams right there, they're smoking on everything right now.
Yeah.
I could see them probably having a good game against those 2 teams, San Francisco and the Eagles.
Yeah.
I mean, either way, any given Sunday, any one of those teams could lose, and or make the game really competitive where it's 21-19 or something.
Right.
24-21. I can see that. But I feel, and also, when people say, oh, they're not really playing anybody, people tend to forget this is the NFL. You're playing against pros.
Exactly.
You can say that for college. You can say that for high school, whatever. These are pros. These people getting paid millions of dollars, and their last person on their roster is better than pretty much anybody else that's not playing football right now.
Exactly. Ask Ron Rivera about playing low, not over 500 teams when they face the Bears.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
People thought that was gonna be a cakewalk game for the Commanders.
Exactly. I think it's in the best interest for Dallas right now, being that they are pretty much, I believe, if I'm correct, they're undefeated at home this year.
Okay.
They're tough to beat at home. I think that would be the way in the route to go. I do think it's going to be very tough to overtake the Eagles and get that number 1 seed. But I do think they have the pedigree to be able to go on the road and go toe-to-toe with the best teams in the league right now.
What's Dallas' record right now? 9-2?
I think it's 9-2.
Okay. And you got the Eagles at 10-1, I believe, and San Francisco at 8-3, I believe.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, it'll be tough to overtake the Eagles. The Eagles, they do have the game against San Francisco. So,
yep.
I think that's going to be the game of – is that a Monday night game?
No. Then we're going to get right into that. It is a Sunday, 4:15 p.m. on Fox game. It is 49ers at the Eagles. this is going to be a game of chess on the offensive side and a game of chess on the defensive side. There are studs on both defenses. Studs. I mean, the ends, the middle, it's all. I mean, I'm actually kind of afraid to play Brock Purdy this weekend because I don't know if he's going to get more than 13 points. You know what I mean? I would like to see 30, but I don't think he's going to get more than 13 points.
Right.
This is going to be a knockout, drag out, and a chess match between offenses and defenses in this game.
Yeah, I have an Eagles wide receiver, and I have I can't remember his name right now right off the top of my head, but I have 49ers running back. I don't know
Christian McCaffrey.
McCaffrey. I don't know if I want to play them in this game, but I almost have no choice. I have so many people on bye, but I'm like, they're not getting the app is scheduling for both of them like 15 and 13 points.
Exactly.
I don't think they're getting that.
I don't. I think it's going to be very, very tough. And I don't have a choice but to play Brock Purdy. Cousins is out. I can't trust Kenny Pickett. So, you know what
You're
I
going
mean?
with the right choice.
I have to play Brock Purdy, but I really don't see a whole lot of points being scored.
No.
In the Lincoln Financial has been tough to play. It really felt like the Bills should have won the game, but Josh Allen goes Josh Allen and pretty much gave them the momentum that was needed to get back into the game. You give Jalen Hurts opportunities. He's going to cash in on those opportunities, and he cashed in. Man, you got Chase Young, you got Bosa, you got Fred Warner. I'm just trying to figure out. I'm glad I'm not the offensive coordinator of neither one of these guys. Like, I'm just trying to figure out what exactly are you going to do. Now, both teams have studs at wide receiver. They have running backs that are shifty, that can be a part of your passing game. But, like, what are you going to go to?
This is a game where I feel as a play caller, you call a kind of a conservative game, but you let the quarterback call out of those plays if he sees something on the field. You kind of have to trust your quarterback on these plays in this game.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to be able to really catch either one of these defenses off guard. They're too good.
I think this is like NFC Championship game type stuff.
Yeah.
That we're seeing right here.
Yeah, this is.
And I agree. I think I think you have to give your quarterbacks opportunity. And I also think on the opposite side, you got to trust your Mike. You got to trust your lead guy, linebacker, to make those calls and to make those adjustments as he sees them. Because I know these guys are studying the tape very, very well. And the thing about these two teams, they have a lot of quickness, strength up front. They can be disruptive. I really feel like both offensive lines for both teams are really good. I mean, you got the best tackle in all of football in Trent Williams. You got Kelsey and those guys. It's going to be tough. I'm glad I don't get paid to do this one. So, what do you see as far as the score, and who do you think comes out the winner on this one?
Man, I have the Eagles on this one. I think it's probably 21-17.
I'm going to go 24-21. I am taking the Eagles because of what I saw against Buffalo last week.
Yeah.
This is Lincoln Financial Field. It's tough to play in the Link. And they're coming all the way across the country to come play over there. I just think at the end of the day, it's going to be a slobber knocker, but Jalen Hurts is going to go Jalen Hurts inside the Link, and they're going to pull out a win. Do you feel like the winner of this one is your Super Bowl appearance for the NFC?
Earlier today, I was thinking that same exact question. I was like, I kind of believe it might be. I think this is going to be the game that tells you who's going to make it to the Super Bowl. Yeah. And could be wrong. I mean, I feel like this game period, one of these two teams will make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
it's either
I
going
think
to be
so
San
too.
Francisco or the Eagles.
Yeah,
but I feel like the Eagles are going to nudge it out and get there all the way.
I feel like it. Kyle Shanahan does some special stuff, so maybe he'll have some Houdini play calls that he hasn't used all year and try to catch him off guard. But it's going to be really tough. That's going to be your chance right there.
They had to have McCaffrey dropping back in the 3-step drop back and throwing a touchdown for 40 yards. I don't know.
Now, the Cowboys have a tough matchup. It doesn't look like it record-wise, but we all know a Pete Carroll football team is very well disciplined. I thought Geno Smith has been playing quite well. He's made some mistakes here and there, but you can never count them out because that defense is always flying around. They're always making plays, and the biggest thing is they're always somehow, some way forcing turnovers.
The Seahawks game is a game I wouldn't bet on because they are too erratic. They're all over the place. They could have a 2-game losing streak, horrible games, then come back the third game against a really good team and beat them with no problem. It's like, figure out which one y'all want to be. Do y'all want to be winners or losers, please? Right.
That's a Pete Carroll football team, though.
Yeah.
Like they never say die. Never say die.
Right.
The advantage that the Cowboys have, again, it is at AT&T Stadium where they have been lethal and unstoppable in that stadium. It's actually done a whole 360 now. Now they can't lose in the place. I think that's their advantage. But if I'm the Cowboys, I don't overlook this football team because this football team is a team that is gritty, that's going to come in and they're going to try to punch you in the mouth. And if they land one, you're going to find yourself in a dogfight that you don't really want to be in. Right. And you might not come out on the upside on that.
No, not against Seattle. Seattle is just one of those teams where you try your best not to let them catch a lead and get that momentum early because they're just going to roll with it. They don't care. Like they could be down, and if they catch momentum, it's hard to stop them. They're just one of those teams that they need a big play, and that's all it takes. For them to get it started. Dallas, they're even kill team, so they're more of a team where they just go out there, do the work, and get off the field and do it again. Right. And this season they don't strike me as a team that uses momentum as much as like the Seahawks.
Right. Exactly.
So I feel like with Dallas, I do feel like they're going to win this game. I'll take them in this game. I probably take them with I'll probably take them with a 28-14 win. I think they're just too strong on the defense. Geno Smith ain't going to be able to have anywhere really to go.
Right.
Seattle, they're good, but they don't have an offensive line that's going to be able to stop Dallas.
Yeah, I agree too. I'm going to go 31 to like 12.
Okay.
But I think that those points get scored late. It's going to be a game just like it was with the Commanders, where it was a tight ball game. It looked like the opposing team was really kind of in it, and they're going to come out in the second half, and they're going to hang their foot right in there behind, and it's going to get blown open, and they'll be not eating turkey legs, but they'll be wishing they were eating turkey legs on the sideline again for another game. Last thing, Frank Wright gets fired, no longer the coach of the Carolina Panthers.
Right.
Do you think that was justified when this is his first season? I get he's 1-10, but I mean, does the owner not see the product he has on the field?
Well, apparently this
quarterback.
Apparently, this owner, he's this type of owner where he fires mid-season all the time.
Yep.
I mean,
but he claims he's patient, though.
Yeah.
He's patient.
Yeah.
I exuberate patience in other things. I'm patient.
You can't be patient and you have a first-year quarterback, first-year coach, and you think, what do you think is happening at this point? I mean, let them have time. You don't have anybody.
Right.
There's nobody on that team. You don't have a running back. Your quarterback
can't even name
rookie.
The only guy I can name is Adam Thielen. Like,
yeah.
I just look. I'm gonna say this for Carolina fans. This guy reminds me of Dan Snyder.
Yes.
In so many ways.
Yes.
Okay. His hands are too involved in football products when he doesn't know a darn thing about football. You might know about oil, but you don't know about football. Let the football people do their jobs. And when you look at this, which he was heavily involved in drafting Bryce Young, you have to understand, bro, that offensive line, you're not Houston in any way, shape, or form. And nor did you use your free agency to try to bring anything to help this guy. Okay. So you want to put this all on one coach. You can even Matt Rule. I didn't like him that much, but come on, man. Like, what did you give him? You try to give him stuff, but your offensive line is trash. I mean, but yet you keep firing people when you don't have any type of players that really stand out, that scare anybody. Everybody in the division is better than you.
Yeah.
Especially in the trenches where it's most important that you are good in. Ask the Commanders.
Okay? And look, the way he fires coaches and goes through coaches like that, like, who does he expect to get in there now? You're not even giving a first-year coach a chance to bring in what he feels is going to be a win. He didn't. 90% of this team he didn't bring in.
Nope.
None of these guys are really his picks. What, like 3-4 picks, and maybe a couple of trades here, there, whatever.
Definitely wasn't quarterback.
No, definitely wasn't quarterback. So what chance did he give him at all? I mean, and now are you expecting to go get you a big time quarterback? I mean, coach now to lead your team?
And look, if Belichick gets fired, I guarantee he'll be the first one in line begging. Because you know what? You know something else about this team? Frank Reich didn't even have anything to do with the hiring of his staff. The staff was already there.
Yeah, because you couldn't do it. He couldn't do anything with them.
Nothing.
It was too late.
Because the owner had already hired the staff.
Yeah.
And basically said, you can be the coach, but these are the guys that I want you to use.
So that's just telling you right there, he wasn't really a coach. He was just there just to fill a spot. Most likely.
Absolutely. And somebody that they could use as a scapegoat when things fail.
Yeah.
Right. They can't trust this owner at all.
No.
Not at all.
I don't play for him. I don't trust him at all.
Exactly. Like I said, he's Dan Snyder-esque.
Yeah. I think he might be worse because like this man, he's not only in the trenches and in the pot, but he's also like just kicking everybody to the curb at the same time.
Exactly. Makes no sense at all.
He must have somebody else where he's like, all right, you're definitely going to be the new guy. I just don't know what he thought was going to happen this season. Did he think they were supposed to be in the playoffs this season? I don't know.
This is the record they are supposed to have.
Yes. Yeah.
And you try to build this team next year and add more pieces to it to try to get better. I think Bryce Young is going to be a good quarterback, but I mean, the guy doesn't have any time to throw the football. He doesn't have anybody to throw the football to.
Right.
And your defense, I mean, it's all right, but it ain't top level. It ain't even mid-level, really. It's average. And in the league and in the division where every team is better than you, it ain't going to work. You're going to be last.
They're lucky they didn't get destroyed in every one of these games almost.
Exactly.
Like, they got beat heavily, but they lucky Miami didn't give them a 60-piece or a 70-piece.
I'm telling you. This is ridiculous. Now, tell everybody where they can find you at and what you guys got coming up here with your.
All right, so everybody can Follow me on Off the Clock Sports Talk on YouTube. We also have a Facebook page and Instagram page. We've been kind of busy, so we haven't had. Last time we had a show was probably like 2 weeks ago. I coached high school varsity girls basketball out here in Southern Maryland, so it's been rough because we rebuilding this season. We lost 5 seniors last season, from last season. So we're building a young team this year. They're going through their little struggles right now, which is fine. But I think we're trying to get back on track. We're getting back on track with scheduling to have more shows and stuff. So we should be back on track this week, I believe, with another show, either this week or this weekend.
That'll work.
But it'll definitely be out there on the page, letting everybody know our schedule and everything.
That'll work, man. Thank you so much for coming on. This won't be the last time, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
That is Mike Butler. Now we're going to get into our Commanders segment. I'm telling you, this segment ain't that long because there really ain't a whole lot to talk about. This team, unfortunately, is not where any of us, media-wise, thought it would be when you looked at the roster with what they had starting the season. So Jack Del Rio gets fired, and I'm going to tell you right now, Rivera didn't want to do this at all. You can see it in his face during the press conference. He didn't want to do it because he's loyal. And he would have kept him and rode this thing right till the end, right into the toilet. I mean, they're borderline almost in it basically now. But he should have pulled this trigger if you're seriously trying to win. You should have pulled this trigger after the Bears game. And people are like, may say, well, that's early in the season. This man's track record since he's been here has been this type of garbage. Consistently, week after week, confusion in the secondary, linebackers who are not cover linebackers continuously being on top-tier tight ends and top-tier slot wide receivers getting torched week after week after week. Offense scores points, defense gives up points. Can't win football games like that because you're not going to score on every possession. Not this team, and especially not this team with that offensive line, which many in the media, Seawall, Lake Lewis, myself, and many others said would be the Achilles heel of this football team. And it has been at times against good and great defenses. But this was too little too late. Firing DB's coach, fine. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to scheme. And it all comes down to a coach understanding that you must put players in position to make plays according to their skill level. You can't just go out here and say, I'm going to it's going to be my defense and I'm going to run what I want to run. Fine. But when you run what you want to run, you lose because you don't have the talent. Now, this team goes out and will be playing the Miami Dolphins at FedEx Field at 1 o'clock on Fox. Again, I will premise this whole thing with this. This team continually does things it has no business doing. I've heard several fans and seen several fans on Twitter talking about this team going out and winning games now because Ron Rivera is at the helm of the defense and killing their draft status. It's possible. Why? Because this team does things it has no business doing. I see a glimmer where this football team, because of the firing of the coach, comes out and plays an inspired football game and likely wins. Why? Because the Miami Dolphins continually play down to their opponents. Watch them. I'm taking the Miami Dolphins in a close one. I know, right? Close one is funny. It'll likely be a 50 burger, but I'm going to say a close one. Why? Because the coach was fired. So we'll see what happens. I know we got to cover this thing here on out. Maybe we'll have something good to talk about next week. All right? Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for watching the show. You can go to the @NotBland Show on YouTube, like and subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.